Hey, buddy, how's it going?
Hey, Sebastian. It's going all right. How are you?
Good, good, man. I can't believe this year is almost coming to an end. It's been a crazy year for us.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's been a wild ride so far.
so far, well, I mean, we left our jobs, corporate jobs, and now we're in the entrepreneur world. It's been a blast, I gotta say. It's not easy. Definitely, we're working more hours and things are more complicated, but I think we've done a lot of progress for only, it's been what, like 3 months now since we fully.
It's been, I would say 2 months now because it was like mid-October. So 2 months full time in this, probably about getting close to 6 months since just starting to explore the idea and seeing the space start to emerge. The AI visibility space, AI search, people talking about how to maximize their ability to show up on ChatGPT, to show up on Perplexity, with obviously positive sentiments, accurate information, how to get referral traffic from the platforms. But yeah, 2 months into it, and what's crazy to me is that, it's not just been a crazy year for us. As we think back like to 2025, like this was kind of a big breakout year for like AI visibility. And there's been a lot of like movement. We weren't the only ones to leave our jobs. Thankfully, like we did it voluntarily. A lot of people we know, um, you know,
Got laid off.
left their jobs,
Yeah.
involuntarily,
The VC
especially,
game is crazy. I think the big groups are consolidating. Clients are going in house. It's a little bit messy.
yeah.
Then,
I mean, thousands of people's lost their jobs, just from the Omnicom IPG merger. Not to mention, WPP had a lot of layoffs and consolidation. And, to your point about clients wanting to go in-house, right? Like that's a very real thing. AI is just really disrupting, and I would say displacing the traditional agency model. So like for brands that are trying to figure out ways to navigate this space, I mean, it's more important than ever to work with teams or tools or consultants in terms of helping to just navigate and make sense, make heads or tails of like what to do, you know?
well, let's jump in. What are the big takeaways for AI visibility in 2025? I know you've been doing a lot of research here. So
Yeah,
give me the
yeah.
rundown.
So I think let's start off with the most pressing question, which is like, what do we even call this space, right?
Yeah,
Like,
right. Dude, LinkedIn
honestly,
is full of posts of people just fighting. It's SEO, it's GEO, it's AEO. I'm saying it's AI visibility. It's just insane. It's almost
it
nonsense.
it is. It's crazy how intense of a conversation is being had on LinkedIn and probably even on Twitter
Right.
and
Yeah.
Reddit, right? Like, because you just named off a few, but like, let's just run them down. Geo, so engine optimization, AEO, answer engine optimization, AI search,
Yeah, search.
AI SEO, LLMO, so LLM optimization. Right, like, and there's a few more derivatives of it. AIO, like AI optimization, right? Like everyone's been fighting about it. And, I think from the research I've seen, even McKinsey has kind of got into this conversation. I think the industry is landing on geo, which I personally don't like. I think it's just like a play on SEO, just like AEO is, and it's kind of like it connects itself to SEO, but like I personally am in the camp that um AI visibility and optimization of that is very distinct and different than SEO. And so I don't really like the terms that connect to SEO. Not to mention geo, it's kind of a
Confusing.
hard
Yeah.
keyword to even like optimize around from like a traditional standpoint because it also means geography or geolocation. And so like sure, like the market's like landing around geo, but at the end of the day, it's all about AI visibility, right? Like it's how do you improve your visibility in AI platforms? Um and that's like the brand side of it, right? Like brands want AI visibility. The consumer side of it is like AI discovery, right? Which is like using ChatGPT, Perplexity, AI mode on Google, etc., to discover brands, consider brands, all that kind of jazz. But yeah, I think AI visibility is really like and look, I'm biased, right? Like we're we're we are attaching ourselves to the AI visibility nomenclature. But I think, yeah, ultimately I think the market's going to land on AI visibility, even though like Geo's like the one that's kind of like where people are coalescing around.
Yeah, no, I seen a lot of LinkedIn posts going back and forth. I do think Geo is a little bit confusing. AEO is a little bit better in my opinion, but I agree, visibility is really what it should be called because it is what it is by definition. Like it's just very simple to understand. I
Straight up.
think in the marketing world, please, no more acronyms.
No
We have
more
enough.
acronyms.
We have enough, right?
Please.
It has to be
Please.
clear. I think that's why I like about AI visibility is pretty obvious.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think that is just like I think the conversation around this is just indicative of the fact that this has been a breakout year for AI visibility. The fact that this conversation has reached such a fever pitch is a signal that, it's here now. People are taking it seriously, even if we're squabbling over what we're going to call it. I think it's a signal that it's a real thing to pay attention to, and not to mention just that. Like, there's been other market validation signals. So just in the last 6 months, there's nearly $120 million raised for
Mhm.
AI visibility tools, right? So like Profound this year in August raised 35 million in their Series B. They're now at a total of close to 60 million. AirOps, big name in the space, big name in the content play, and they have some visibility tools that are combined with it. But in November, they announced that they raised another 40 million in their Series B, so 60 million total there as well. You got some other players that have come out in the space. Scrunch, they've raised 19 million this year. Searchable, a smaller shop out of the UK,
Okay.
they raised 4 million seed round. I mean, there's a lot of investment in this space. A lot of VCs are calling this a once in a generation platform shift. I generally agree with that. There's more than 80 tools that you and I have identified and cataloged and put into a directory on our site. From emerging players to the more traditional players like Ahrefs and Moz
Audit,
and all these others
SEMrush,
trying to
yeah.
SEMrush. Another big signal,
Yeah.
SEMrush, and let me pull this up, um, and I'll show you my screen real quick. But SEMrush, I think you probably read about this. They got acquired by Adobe, and not for a small amount, for 1.9
Wow.
billion with a B
Wow.
dollars, right? That's a huge signal. That's a huge signal that some of the biggest players in the space, Adobe obviously has Adobe Analytics, not to mention all their other products, but they are getting in on the AI search space of it all.
Yeah, it's interesting because SEMrush has been there forever with SEO products that being, I would say, pretty popular.
Hmm.
What's crazy is that Adobe now decides to jump in because I think they're seeing the future that this channel is really gonna be a game changer, and they're willing to put in the money. We'll see. I definitely want to see what they do with the product. I hope they don't kill it. I've seen that happen in the past, but we'll see. Time will tell. I do think Profound has done a great job in terms of education, research. I think they're the ones that are leading the way. Um,
Agreed.
they definitely have a lot of there's a lot of conferences that they put in London, in New York. Definitely one of my goals next year is to go to one of their conferences. We'll see if we'll make it.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. I think that's a great idea. But yeah, like so, 2025 was a breakout year for AI visibility. We've been squabbling around what to call it. There's been a ton of fundraising. There's been some M&A action, and I think the category is starting to the category in the sense of like AI platforms is starting to mature a little bit, right? Like, and it's still growing, but like you have over 800 million weekly active users on ChatGPT. That number is getting close to 1 billion by the end of this year, is what TechCrunch is coming out and saying. AI overviews, there's 2 billion monthly users. Over 200 countries are getting AI overviews. I see, some stats of saying, somewhere in the range of 50 to 70% of all searches are now producing an AI overview, which is exacerbating the click-through rate loss, the organic traffic declines, the zero-click attribution issues. Perplexity, has reached about a 2 billion or a 20 billion valuation this year. They have around 22 to 30 million monthly active users. So it like there's been massive growth in terms of just the AI platform usage and the value that the market is seeing from these platforms. And so, like again, it's been a breakout year. And when we look at just the projections of this that have come out this year, I mean, McKinsey is saying that U.S. revenue from AI search will get to about $750 billion by 2028. So it shows just the trajectory that, some of the best in the space, McKinney, love them or hate them, they're one of the biggest consulting groups out there, and they have a ton of data. And so like I would bet on their predictions. The geo market specifically, so AI visibility, optimization, narrative engine optimization, things of that nature. The market is expected to reach, nearly $8 billion by 2031. That's a 34% compounded annual growth rate. So it's growing pretty aggressively. And AI traffic, I think this comes out in a lot of LinkedIn articles. Generally, AI traffic that, actually is, people click on links that are cited in the responses. That traffic generally converts better than organic traffic. They're more informed. There's higher intent. Depending on which category you're in, depends on how much better it converts. But on average, it's about
Yeah.
3 times
But it's
better than traditional channels.
but it's a more qualified lead by definition,
Way
right?
more qualified.
There's more trust, there's more context. It's definitely a user that's almost I would say like when somebody's using your brand in a search, in a Google search, that's kind of like the intent is already there. So it makes sense that conversion rates are high, and that's without counting like people that actually saw a response and then they went to your site directly or look you up in Google search by your brand and bought, right? So that's another another challenge that we'll face next year is like how are we gonna do attribution, real attribution of what AI mention really brings to your bottom line. That's one of the questions that I mean I know you and I have been trying to figure it out, and we'll continue. But it's definitely important to put that one for next year because it's gonna continue to be a real. It's not a problem. I think it's a good problem to have because whatever you're reporting today is way better. So
Yes.
the impact of the channel is actually way higher than what you're reporting today on GA4 or Adobe Analytics.
Completely agree. And look, attribution's always going to be an imperfectly solved um,
Yeah.
space as it relates to analytics, right? Like, there's plenty of different ways that we're currently trying to solve it in the industry outside of just AI, right? So there's like MMM models, there's MTA models, there's your traditional last click or first click models. And the reality is, correlation analyses are not causation. It's best to use attribution directionally than authoritatively. And so with AI and zero click, it's just going to get a little harder. And as this continues to become not just an emerging channel, but a core channel for a lot of brands, I think there's going to be a lot of investment in that space as we
Yeah,
think
no,
of
like
what's
look,
going to happen next year.
look at what happened with TikTok Shop, right? Like TikTok realized that oh, I want to have like the merchants on their websites. I'm gonna create an experience that has less friction, that is better. That's basically what OpenAI is doing, right? So I think
That's right.
next year we're gonna see a lot of people doing everything from the chatbot without actually going to any website, even a transaction. So I think there's a lot of new challenges that brands need to adapt for because it's not only your website now, like it's the web and even the experience within the chatbot, which is gonna really put an impact on if you're seen or not and what actions are taken upon your brand or your products.
Yep. Completely agree. Thinking about next year, let's talk predictions. I think predictions get kind of juicy and fun, and
Yeah.
yeah, and I think the biggest thing in this space that has come up is for next year is ads, right? And eventually, at some point, it's going to happen, and it needs to happen. For the platforms themselves, but even for users, I think, and for specifically for brands, like how do you buy real estate in AI search conversations versus try to earn it, which is obviously where the market currently is. But even if you think Google, right, in their first couple of years, they didn't have ads, and then they came out with ads, and still, even when they came out with ads, it was an iterative process. Like they didn't nail it on the first time. But what did come with ads, which I'm very excited about, is real user data. Right now, AI platforms, they don't release any sort of real
Oh,
user
no.
data. Yeah, they're black box. And so, like with ads, comes real user data. It has to. Like that, you have to be able to demonstrate real data to your advertisers of user queries and things of that nature. Obviously, respecting PII, but I think ads are the biggest topic for a next year prediction. Um,
I
but yeah, go ahead.
No, no, it's a couple things on ads. I think the like looking back at Google Ads and the keyword research tool, that was a tool that's is really old and still used today. We
Still
don't
used
have a
today.
prompt research tool that actually has like prompt volume, and I think
No.
people are trying to estimate it, and there's people doing things here and there, but like it's not as perfect as what Google Trends or Google or the keywords tool has, and that's a key data point for optimizing either ads or organic. Just part now, is it going to be the same behavior? Because prompts are so long and so infinite that compared to keywords, I think there could be more iterations of prompts than keywords. Because
Oh,
questions are
yeah.
super long, right? Like you're not doing like one simple keyword search.
And not even to mention the subsequent like responses that a user has in a
The
conversation
conversation
with a
itself.
right, like the threaded approach. And like
Yeah.
but the reality is the data that we have today is the worst it's ever going to be, right? It's only going to get
Yeah.
better.
It's only going to get better.
And I will give a shout out to Profound. They're the ones that are probably the farthest along on this. They claim that they have real prompt volumes, and then they apply machine learning on top of that to give estimates of prompt volumes in the category, not just for particular brand. So like depending on whether or not that data is actually real or not, I don't think they are pulling back the curtain just yet, but they're probably the farthest along right now of getting real data, and I think that's coming primarily from panels or user groups,
The
things of
Chrome
that nature.
extension. I think they have a Chrome extension that people
Chrome
have
extension to
to,
extract, yeah.
yeah, to extract that.
But
I was
in
gonna
lieu of
ask
that, though,
you. Oh, sorry, not to cut you off, but I'm gonna ask you about OpenAI Code Red.
oh yeah, so that's where I was about to go. So like, let me pull up my screen again one more time, and the biggest, probably some of the biggest news as it relates to ads came out from OpenAI around the Code Red memo, which I'm sure a lot of people remember hearing about. It was, I think, just in November after Gemini 3 dropped, and OpenAI got shook, right? Like they realized, the reception of the new model was received very, very well, and OpenAI's ChatGPT 5 had gotten a lot of criticism. I think at that point they were at 5.1, and so they said, hey, we're going to put ads on hold for a moment, and any other type of initiatives that aren't specific to improving the models to compete on that space, which I thought was interesting because
Makes sense.
they had been talking about ads for a while.
Yeah, I know. Look, my position on ads and might be unpopular is I really don't think that's a place for ads because AI already has some mistrust because hallucinations. Now, if you put ads on top of that, people are gonna start saying, "Hey, how can I trust this system?" Right? And in my personal opinion, like my data with my chatbot is personal and it should be one on one. I don't want that to become an advertising signal because I feel that that's the way. It's like like it feels too personal, and I think they need to be careful because yes, they need to make money, and not everybody's gonna pay for a subscription. But advertising could be actually a problem of losing users. Because let's say Google cannot afford not to have Gemini ads for a while. That could be their advantage, right? So I think Perplexity, the small guys like Perplexity, they need to be smart. They already have an advertising program that they started testing out with Whole Foods back in November 2024. But I think right now they're not accepting new brands. They're still trying to figure out the experience that is something that is not intrusive, that people don't really like. Oh, now they're just making money off my data, of my responses. I think that it's a delicate situation. So yes, they're coming, but we haven't really figured out what is the format.
No, you're absolutely right. And I think your point about Google is also really important. Like, not only does Google have an advantage that, they have their own models, they are building their own chips, OpenAI is renting NVIDIA chips and databases, right? Like, but they also have an ads model that's fully integrated across their entire ecosystem. So like AI overviews and AI mode, like, depending, it's not always you have ads, but there are ads that are in there. There are sponsored listings. Like, they're already able to monetize that. And it's not a huge lift for them to do it. So they can subsidize this AI war better than Perplexity or OpenAI can. And I will say though that OpenAI, has delayed ads, but has not shut down that initiative. Right now, they went from saying that it's going to come, ads are going to come in Q1 of next year, latest of Q2. Now they're looking at near the end of the year to ship ads.
Well,
So,
talking about ads, the first ones that actually release ads fully is Amazon and Rufus.
oh yeah,
I've seen ads on Rufus. Walmart also released ads on Sparky, which I don't know how popular Sparky is, but it has ads now. And it's interesting. It's kind of a new placement when you set up the campaigns, but you cannot guarantee like, oh, I just want to run that placement. It's just like an expansion of your campaign, which that's a big difference, right? They've been running placements, advertising. For them, it's just adding a placement. But when you
that's
see
right.
OpenAI or Perplexity that they don't have any placements, they
They're
have
building
to
from
build a
scratch,
full, yeah, from scratch, a full model of how this is gonna work. So that's a big,
100%.
yeah, that's a big advantage that Google has, and I mean obviously Amazon and well Walmart. Walmart is really close with OpenAI, so I think they'll figure out something there. But yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. No, but you're bringing some retail players into the space. Walmart, Amazon, Perplexity has been getting in the space, and I think that speaks to another prediction for next year, which is agentic commerce. So, agentic commerce came up on the radar this year, right? So, Perplexity was one of the first to the game, and again, we did a whole video about this, and I personally think that Perplexity, their UI and UX is probably the best in class for agentic commerce right now, even better than Google. I think their cards approach, their user-friendly interface, and the ability to shop without having to leave the platform is better than any others in the space. Now that's probably going to change, but OpenAI, ChatGPT, Google, even most of them, you still have to click to the the brand's website to actually make a purchase. Whereas in Perplexity, you can just purchase straight from Perplexity, and I think that came online this year in a pretty big way. But next year, I think it's just going to continue to explode. A couple stats here that I think we need to take with a little bit of a grain of salt. But 33% of consumers would rather buy through an AI agent than a human. That comes from Salesforce State of Commerce. 24% of consumers in the US are already comfortable with AI agents shopping for them. That comes from McKinsey. So I think, it's already kind of a signal that people are getting comfortable with AI agents, doing some of the purchase behavior that they would normally do. And if you already see stats in the 33-24% range, like, that's only going to grow as more users get exposed to this and get comfortable with it. McKinsey is saying that agentic commerce is going to, by 2030, going to project or $3 to $5 trillion in commerce value for brands, which is just a huge number. Gartner is saying two-thirds of website traffic by 2026. That's just next year. Will be from bots, so from AI bots, and like those bots being agentic bots that are combing the site, pulling recommendations, doing agentic purchase behavior for them, for the users. So I think this just speaks to the fact that brands need to get ahead of this curve. They need to optimize for AI agents, not just for humans, because this agent to agent kind of space is just starting to emerge. And that first mover advantage can be very powerful if this really becomes the normal state of play for brands and consumers.
Yeah, no, Agentic Commerce is big. I'm a fan of Google AI mode, just because I have Google Merchant Center. The amount of the local reviews is a big one for me because sometimes I want to actually go to the store and buy it. I think that tracking the price of a product was a really cool feature. I've been getting like notifications that it's been going down and I can go buy it. I haven't bought it like with the agent because I haven't set up Google Pay, but that I have my money on Google, man.
Yeah, Google
Yeah,
never discount Google. I think they're always
yeah.
they're always going to find a way to win. They're just so huge and they're just so embedded. But I will say that this agentic commerce revolution, so to speak, won't come without its scars or its fights, right? So like even right now or just recently, Amazon is suing Perplexity over this agentic shopping tool, and this was just in early November. So like I mean, a month and a half ago, right?
That's a
And
bully move, to be honest.
oh yeah, it is a bit of a bully move. I mean, Amazon's huge and Perplexity is just coming out, but they're calling it misconduct, right? So you can see this here. They want to end Perplexity, for them to end their misconduct, and so like more of this is just going to come out as agentic commerce just becomes more and more pervasive in this space.
Well, the data is the new gold, right? All these companies are as good as the data they have, and Amazon has, so much product data. Same with Google Merchant Center. So I think for OpenAI and Perplexity, catching up is going to be a challenge. They need to get self-service, people being able to actually put on their product feeds, and it has to be fast if they really want to beat Google or do a partnership. I heard OpenAI is in talks with Amazon, and that would be a game changer if they do come up with a partnership because Amazon has been very focused on their own ecosystem. Now Rufus has access to the internet, but it's obviously not the one you to buy in Amazon, right? So
Obviously, yeah.
it's kind of a weird situation. I think for them to partner with an external player is gonna put them in a good place, but we'll see.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think maybe the final shift that we can talk about or prediction for 2026 is this year. As when we look back, what we've mentioned is that this was a breakout year for AI visibility for monitoring tools and the consulting services and this becoming kind of like an area of interest for a lot of brands. And you know the most of the investment has been in building monitoring tools, like understanding, do you show up, do you not show up, if what's the citations that show up that have informed the responses, are you recommended, are you not recommended, what's the sentiment about you, right? All this is just telling you the weather, like what happens if a user uses these types of queries or prompts, and do you show up, it's monitoring. And I think the big change that's going to start to emerge next year, and something that I'm betting on, is that it's going to shift away from monitoring being just like table stakes and being kind of a commodity to like intelligence. Like, okay, why are you winning? Why are you losing? Who's winning and gaining ground? And where are you gaining ground or losing ground? And what can you do about it? Like, what should you do about it? Like, what are the third-party sources that you should go influence because they are the authority for these types of queries or topics, in that's specific to your industry. What sort of technical changes do you need to make to your website? Do you need to make it more AI agent friendly? That sort of actionable prioritization of what to do with limited resources, I think is going to become the next evolution of AI optimization. Like monitoring is starting to get solved. Like that's becoming a solved problem to a large extent. There's still, some refinement that a lot of brands and are trying to figure out. But I think that next layer of intelligence and action, we're already starting to see some of it come out in some of these
Yeah,
platforms, either
a
coming
lot
out
of
with
it.
opportunities
Yeah,
and
a lot of it has been connected to content generation on your blog, but I do think there's an aspect that goes through social, that goes through PR, and that goes through paid advertising. I think
that's
with
right.
all the data that we're capturing from responses, there's an opportunity to really enable different tactics across many different channels. And I think that to your point, yes, right now we're saying, hey, you're not visible. But what are the actions to change that? I feel that since we're a new industry, obviously the first challenge is like, oh, how do I know if I'm even a part of the conversation, right? I think we're fixing that, but you're right. Now it comes the next layer.
Yeah, and look, even the CEO of the IAB, David Cohen, he even is coming out and saying that look, the battle for online presence is shifting decisively to the LLM space. Reputation, what real people say about you, matters more than ever, and I think it also extends to AI. Like what AI is saying about you matters more than ever, and should dictate essentially how you navigate this space. And that's one of the areas that you and I, as we're building AIVO, are trying to solve.
Right.
In fact, it may be a good moment if we pull up the platform that we've been building to kind of show it off a little bit. What do you think?
Sure, sure. Let's. We've been building this really fast, but I think we got into a really good point when it comes to monitoring. This is my sister's site to give you a perspective. We're basically measuring visibility across the four main engines that are ChatGPT, Perplexity, AI Overview, and Google AI Mode. It's important to see how visibility trends over time. What is your share of voice, and then what's your position, right? There's a lot of prompts that might come back with several brands. You want to measure when were you mentioned to see if you were actually recommended. And then here you can see the performance that you have per prompt. And you can also, if you click on the arrow in the left, uh, yeah, you can actually see the actual responses. I don't know, let's click on one just to showcase what we see. What's interesting if you scroll down is that we can also see the actual sources, right? In this case, my sister's side was a part of the response. So this is a great example of like what you want to aim for. You want to be cited and you want to be mentioned.
Hmm.
That's when you actually won a prompt.
And with positive sentiment.
And positive sentiment. There's like three factors that really matter. So we're starting to really jump into this. Let's show the sentiment. Most of it is positive. I think citations is probably where the most data is. If you scroll down,
And look, her citation share is starting to increase, which is
it's
great to
starting
see.
to increase. There was a blog that was released, and look, you can see the domains. And if you click on a domain, let's click on her domain. You can see all the webs, like all the actual pages that have been sourced. And look, you see the third one? That's a brand new blog article that she just wrote like 2 weeks ago.
Fantastic.
That's so interesting. It's starting to
Yeah.
come up, and it's super new content. It's not like
Hmm.
SEO that sometimes it takes you a while. This was honestly super quick. I'm surprised. I mean, obviously Etsy, like Etsy is huge for this
Of
content.
course.
It's handcraft, like they're gonna own it. But it's good to see that some of the content that she's been posting is already coming in. Um, Another part that will be really good for us to go through is the site audit. This was literally Dan just pushed this live yesterday. So let's run one just to show how it works.
So you just go up here, you can run it on it at any time. It only takes, 30 seconds or so. what it tracks is a handful of different technical factors on your site. Like, do you allow bot crawlers, AI bots, to your site to actually review your content? Do you have structured data, and where specifically do you have good structured data versus missing structured data? So like she's missing some FAQ schemas. So like this just ran and the score didn't change that much because we had ran an audit just yesterday, so there hadn't been much changes. But like organization schema. So if you want to fix it, a little pop-up tells you, how you can go off and fix it. And soon enough, we're going to actually be adding an action tracker to track the actions you've taken over time so that we can annotate your progress. Um, but adding in your LMMS TXT file again can show how to add that. um, Page speed, content signals, so showing that you have published dates for your pages, you have author attribution. We're going to build out more of the content signals. So when you see the content inventory over here, that's coming soon. Your performance, so like site speed, your content loading, and again, each one of these give you a breakdown of how to go and check what's actually loading slowly or not. AI specific. So one of the things we also check for is ACP readiness. This speaks to Agentic Commerce. So ACP stands for Agentic Commerce Platform. This is primarily driven by ChatGPT, but it also speaks to Perplexity, and it's becoming a industry standard. So just checking to see like, where are you good and you're prepared for ACP, and where do you still need access? So like for instance, her site doesn't allow bots to check out. So that's just one more thing to go fix. On the bot crawlers, we also have a dedicated page to show you specifically, if you're optimizing your configuration for bot crawlers. Right now, her site in particular, she doesn't have anything specifically configured. So you can see 18 bots are not crawled. So you got your traditional search engines, your AI search bots, your real-time AI bots, your training bots for training data, content fetching bots from Meta. Now, because she doesn't have this configured, it doesn't mean that they can't access her site. It means that they actually can, but there's just no explicit directions on what they cannot access or where they should access specific information. So when you get down here, you can see your current one, but then we also provide an optimized bot crawler. So we add our bits to the very top, and then we preserve the rest of your bot rules that aren't related to AI bots, so that we don't mess up anything, with your website. So very good stuff here.
Yeah, no, very good stuff, especially for webmasters. This is a section dedicated for technical people. But no, look, it's been a it's been a great pod. I think for people out there that want to maybe check out the tool, we're right now accepting 15 brands to come and help us build this new solution. So if you're interested, hit us up on the comments, and we can have a conversation.
Yep. And I will say, for those that are listening, um, and are thinking about AI visibility and wanting to get serious about it, you got to first start tracking. We can help you out with that. There's also some really good brands out there that can also help out with that. But no matter which path you take, you got to start tracking. You can't do anything unless you know where you stand. So like if you're not tracking, reach out to us, reach out to any of these other players. And then as we continue to build out the intelligence layer to help you understand why, our main approach here is to help, with consulting to give you an action plan and prioritization of that plan to know how you can move the needle. So, not only do you know where you stand, but you know what you can do about it. So, um, yeah,
And look, the last thing I wanted to mention is that next year we have our first in-person event here in Miami. We're gonna be giving a 1 hour talk about AI visibility. It's free, admission is free, and we're gonna have a small happy hour after the talk. So more to come on that. We'll be publishing more information, so keep an eye on that.
sounds great. Great pod, Sebastian.
Yeah, man. Bye.